Bookkeepers and roofers. Welcome to my channel today. And so I'm really happy that you're here. Today, we are going to be hitting some of your questions and mistakes maybe that new and experienced bookkeepers make in their bookkeeping business. But one of the biggest fears and mistakes that I find bookkeepers making is, Helen, what if my roofing contractor uses a CRM, a customer relationship management software is what that stands for, and I don't know that software. I've never heard of that software before. So the good news is that you don't need to know every CRM there is out there, but I'm going to show you today whether you know one or whether you know 10 or whether you know 0, you don't know any of them, of how you can get yourself prepared for the call that you're going to be on with the roofing contractor. Once you get that roofing contractor, of how you're going to easily, just in one session, learn what tabs to click and the things that you need and that type of thing to do the bookkeeping and advisory work for the roofing contractor that you need to do. Because this is a really important part of their roofing business or construction business, because they highly depend on the CRM actually more than they depend on QuickBooks. Most of them, their biggest thing that they look at is that they're spending time every day in that CRM. They're checking their bank accounts. They're checking on their advertising. So these are the most common things that roofers really need help with, and that you, as the bookkeeper, can help them with. So I'm going to explain today, go through a few of these, and maybe let's look at why this fear exists. Most bookkeepers, you maybe want to think that I don't know JobNimbus, I don't know AccuLynx, I don't know RooferLink, I don't know EagleView, which if you don't know what EagleView is, that's where you can log into their software and it's like a drone. So they can see the whole roof and they can estimate directly from the office without going out to the job site, which would save them a lot of money. EagleView is usually combined in JobNimbus and AccuLynx as well, and RoofLink. It's in there as well. And then there is also Company Cam, which is similar. So, it can be Jobber, it can be Notify. I just had someone call me the other day about having second eyes for a landscaping company. They were using QuickBooks and Notify, which I had a design firm that was using Notify. So I was actually certified in Notify in order to serve that contractor in Notify. So sometimes you do run into those situations. If you're getting a special price, like for your client, then a software may make you go through their videos and their certification, which isn't hard at all, just to do that, just so you get to know that software. That helps you become successful too. So it's no different than you going through QuickBooks Online training, where you get your certificate for that. Very similar to that. But most of those things, those software programs, they really feel overwhelming, but don't feel overwhelmed with it. One thing that I do suggest, say that you are on a call or you would ask a contractor some questions, they wrote back, yeah, I'm on Notify. And then if you don't know what Notify is, then I look it up on Google, of course, and go to their website to get a view of what it is, see if they do have any direct training videos. It's mainly a sales demo they're really trying to show. And so this will give you a little bit of familiarity with that. And then I'll go on to YouTube, our favorite YouTube, and then I will look up Notify. And then my favorite videos for that is if I find a contractor, especially a roofing contractor, that is actually using Notify and what they have to say about it, and any tips and tricks that they do, or even what their workflow is in that software program, and especially how it connects to QuickBooks. A lot of times I'll type in Notify QuickBooks for an example. Usually I'm looking for them to say how it integrates with QuickBooks. Most of the time, they're mainly just talking about sales. You just have to piece it together of how it works for you. I did that one time with RooferLink. So I watched this whole hour-long video. And then at the very end, it just said that it connects to QuickBooks. So that was as far as they went, because most of those softwares, to be honest, they don't have staff that knows the financial side of that, exactly like what we need to sync. When the software development they're creating, some of those people do know of syncing and matching up and mapping and that type of thing, but it's not a wide known thing across software programs. Once or twice, I have ran across somewhere in the software program where they really did have an accounting department that helped the bookkeepers working for roofing companies with the software of how to match things up and what could be done and what could not be done and what I would have to do manually and what the software would do. Keep in mind, all of these softwares, they are designed to do specific things, just like QuickBooks does. All of them have their own workflow that underneath all of it, the back end of it, they're all working this workflow. And it's much easier to work their workflow than when you are creating your manual workflow, because you're going to have some loops that you're going to have to go around that their software didn't include, or that's not the path their software takes you on. A path could be, and put in the estimate first, and then I've got to change the estimate to an invoice, and then I can receive a deposit, even though a customer may have paid a deposit before I even created the invoice. They did the deposit over the estimate. From the estimate, they gave the contractor a check on the spot, the job, different things like that. So you're going to have to go back, then convert your estimate to invoice, and then receive your deposit. And that's what I mean by using their workflow. You'll have to adjust your workflow to their workflow. Whether it's QuickBooks, whether it's AccuLynx, JobNimbus, any of those are the things that you want to work at. And this will really help your contractors as well, because a lot of them don't actually know exactly how everything's supposed to go either. So this is something you can help them with. But every roofing CRM does essentially the same things. It's going to track leads, it's going to create jobs, it's going to build estimates, it's going to create contracts. The contracts generally is from the contractor. They give that to the software company, and the software company actually adds that. It's something customized, but that is how that works. Then we're going to be creating invoices in that software as well. The production schedule is going to be in there. Messages are going to be in there. Tracking payments are going to be in there. They might have some different buttons, or the display looks a little bit different, but they all do these same things. The concept is still just there. So just keep those things in mind with it. But all of the CRMs, this is what they're going to do. And then how do we learn any CRM? You don't necessarily need to learn the software, but do learn the workflow. Mapping in that workflow is what I was referring to, and making sure that you have QuickBooks set up correctly to begin with, and then making sure you have their CRM set up and connected so that it works and it speaks to QuickBooks right, so their language is going right, and then it is very helpful to you. If they are not speaking to each other correctly, then it can be more difficult in QuickBooks, and we're having to make more adjustments. So I always like that to happen. And when I'm first starting with a contractor and we're connecting QuickBooks, I want all of the CRM's products and services syncing to QuickBooks opposed to me putting those products and services in QuickBooks. I also go through a testing period. So the first thing I'm going to send over is just the invoice to QuickBooks. We tell it when to send that to QuickBooks and then make sure that's coming over clean. If they are going to receive payments in the CRM, then they can start doing that. Otherwise, I want them to, that software program, to send the invoice to QuickBooks once I sync it, and then in QuickBooks, I'll receive the payments because I want it going to undeposited funds. I don't want it going to the bank account so that it will match my bank fee, that I can choose what payments went together to equal the deposit in the bank. That goes a little bit deeper into it, but I do have another video about the CRM. So please go back to that video and I give a lot more information on that as well if you do need more help with that. You want to learn the workflow, ask how does a lead become a customer? And that is really through an estimate, a phone call that comes in, a message sent, something like that. And where does the estimate come from? And most of the time, the salesman or the owner of the roofing company, they will be putting the estimate or what we call the worksheet in the CRM, and they will send that estimate to the customer, either email or print or however they're going to send it. They'll get it to the customers. And then how do they order their material? And most everybody with the CRM order their materials directly through that CRM to Beacon or ABC Supply or SRS or whoever they're using. Most of the time, those suppliers have a partnership and an integration with the roofing CRMs. So that's easy there. How do they invoice once they've sent the estimate? And a lot of times what I see happen is they'll do the worksheet, they'll send the estimate to the customer, they'll actually even receive the deposit. So I keep the worksheet of all the jobs that a contractor is doing, what the contract amount is, what the balance is. When I see that a payment was received for a job, I can go to my spreadsheet and mark that and then go in QuickBooks to make sure that customer is in QuickBooks. That's the important part, that that customer is in QuickBooks. If the customer isn't in QuickBooks, then I know to go back to that CRM, to that job number, and then I need to sync that invoice. I need to turn it into an invoice actually, and then sync that invoice to QuickBooks. Now, sometimes the salesmen do sync it to QuickBooks and sometimes they don't, but 9 times out of 10, they actually don't. And you just want to confirm that you do have the correct amount and that it's in QuickBooks. And periodically with these, you can check what the contract amount is you have in QuickBooks, but then when they start doing the job, that price may increase for the contract with a change order because there was bad wood or they decided on a different color or there's soffit work or windows, doors, anything like that. So that can change. So you need to know that. And that's how you're reconciling between the balance, the customer's balance in the CRM and the customer's balance in QuickBooks. And you want those two to be reconciled. How do they collect payment and how most of them are collecting payment? Sometimes through the CRM, they're going through Service Finance or going through some type of finance company. They're receiving payment where the salesmen are running credit cards. They're receiving cash, they're receiving checks. So there's a lot of different ways. So when you receive the payment in QuickBooks, then you can put check and the check number or cash or AccuLynx. And then I have started in the reference, like when it's the first 50% deposit, I'll write deposit. When they make the final payment on the job, then I'll write final. And that just helps if we need to look back on something, if some numbers get out of line or their numbers are more in the CRM than what you have in QuickBooks. So that's just how to tag some different things like that to help you keep the books clean. They know what they're making per job. And then your confidence really, it just comes from understanding roofing, not really memorizing the software, but just knowing where you need to go to get the information, like looking up the job number, then going to payments received, and you can even create your own custom reports in that CRM for what you need to see as well. So every time they receive a payment or it's an expense for a job, they will have it under expenses for job, and you can go to the job and get all the details of it if you need to look further into that, if you need to look at messaging, communication. I do encourage you to look at the other video I have, the CRM, because I show you a screenshot of AccuLynx and I show you a screenshot of JobNimbus, something similar to it that AI created for me for that, because that's priority information. And usually we don't get to see that until a roofer is signed up to one of those software programs. They don't give us free access to the CRMs. So that's been challenging for me with that, because it would be nice to be able just to go in there and test it out and without, just giving myself practice, and put it that way, of where all the tabs are. That's what I always think. Where are all the tabs at that I need? I don't necessarily need to know everything that they know, but where are the tabs at that I know? So you can really help your contractor with that, though. I do want to invite everyone to join Roofing Bookkeepers Connection, and I'll have that link in the description. I have also updated my website, and so I'll leave that link for you to show you the different programs that I have, which is the Roofing Bookkeepers Connection. Then I have a premium membership, and then I have 2 other programs where you work one-on-one with me. But if you're ready to get started in your next step, you can always book your next step call, and we'll see exactly where you are. And just so you know, I serve bookkeepers, I serve roofing companies. We're an advocate for roofing companies, where we learn how to do their bookkeeping, whether it's a brand new bookkeeper, an experienced bookkeeper, a roofing bookkeeper that was having challenges to doing the bookkeeping, and just teaching you how to work with contractors. And this new series actually that I'm doing, each video is going to be working with contractors to give you some inside information of how you can successfully work with contractors and how most of them think about things and how I apply things to their business. I think it will be really helpful for you, especially on your sales calls, on your one-on-one calls with them, of having better conversations, asking better questions, enabling you to give them a better price instead of you're not sure what to price them. So this will help with your pricing too and give you confidence. Always just be practicing whatever you're doing, whatever level that you're at, just keep practicing and just don't give up on it. Building businesses does take time, and we have to start becoming the person in order for our business to be successful. It's not like you have a viral video that just happened overnight. You have building blocks, and so you just keep building on it. And I like taking step 1, step 2, step 3, and that's what I take you guys through, because I think it's clarity, it's simple for you to do it then. Thank you, and I will talk to you next Friday. Bye-bye.